So we're going to finish up the 9mm 605 fake build today. And once again, I did this as cheap as possible. So there's a couple things that are purely speaking incorrect, like our upper, which is an A1 style, but it's not the Colt pattern with the half ejection door, and it does have a forward assist teardrop, in fact. As it happens, that's probably a good thing, because 9mm is one of those things where I could actually see the forward assist being occasionally useful. Any blowback, actually. And this, what we're going to try out, is a Foxtrot mic bolt, and it does actually have these scallops cut for the forward assist. So, we'll see how that works. The Foxtrot mic, again, I have not tried this in a Colt style lower, though I have been told that they work. The only one I have is in a Foxtrot mic built upper, and it's using a Glock lower. So, and it works just fine. Okay, but these are available relatively inexpensively right now. I think I got this one on sale for $89. This is our lower, which, once again, I'm not supposed to put the lower parts in on camera because of YouTube. So we're not actually assembling a firearm. I'm just going to be telling you about some of the details of the build. So I did go ahead and get it all coated and colored. Everything's pinned in place just like it was in the last video. It's just now we're ready to actually attach the upper. I did use an A1 style grip, which I found they're pretty inexpensive right now. You shouldn't have to do this, but if you need to, you can actually sand down an A2 grip and make it pretty close to the same thing. Major detail we're going to get into, if you've never built a actual rifle length firearm before, is this is your buffer tube, and it's pretty much just going to screw in till you get it relatively tight, finger tight. Okay, everything will hold in at that point, and then the only thing that's going to keep it in orientation is the screw in the back, which goes through your buttstock. A few other minor details before we get started. Remember that I did increase the weight to 9 3/8 ounces on the buffer, and this is a spacer. You can buy these. You can use a couple quarters. I made this one on the lathe because it took like 30 seconds to cut it. And that goes in the back. You may or may not need this. Probably with this setup you're going to need it. What it does is it prevents the buffer from going so far back that the bolt comes out the back of your guide channel here. Okay, basically overrun. And you can have an overrun condition. So we'll see if I actually need this, but that's what it's for, to prevent overrun. I'm going to go ahead and put it in. And once again, remember, Sprinco green spring is an actual rifle buffer spring that is extra strength, which we'll probably be very glad for on the 9mm blowback. So let's start with the lower. Pretty simple. We're going to screw the tube in until we're close to the retaining pin spot. Go ahead and cock the hammer. Put the retaining pin spring and the retaining pin in. Hold them down. Finish screwing it in. Get it finger tight. You're good to go. Okay. I'm going to put my little blocker in. That's it. This is a little simpler to do because you don't have your spring sticking out the back yet. We're going to go ahead and get it here. This should be pretty simple. I'm going to take the buttstock, slide it on. Much easier than the carbine. This screw goes in the back. good to go. That should be all you need to do for the rest of the lower. Now with the lower done, we have a few more things to do on the upper. So we've got our old style charging latch. We've got our bolt. We still have two oversized or over length set screws in here. So we're going to go ahead and pull those out and replace them. You'll remember that we tapped an 832 because the existing hole that was already in the bottom of this worked very well for that. And then we took the bayonet mount off and drilled and tapped another 832 hole. So we got to pull this out, pop this out. I've already cleaned things up a little bit, so I'm not worried about degreasing again. And I cleaned things up because I did some bluing in here. And I use Brownell's T4 touch-up Dichropan. You can get the big bottle too. And that is the best cold bluing I've ever found for a good solid black. It doesn't tend to turn out glossy for me, like a deep bluing, even with multiple applications, but it gets very black, and it's a really good touch-up around military hardware and phosphate coatings. This one is just a little bit longer than this one. I did get multiple sizes when I went ahead and ordered some extra set screws. And those are in. Now we can put the sling mount in. I'm going to go ahead and put the sling mount in on this rifle because I'm using an A2 or A1 style configuration and I have the braid sling mount on the lower. So there's no sense messing with it. I'm just going to go ahead and run with that. So tips and tricks. For setting pins like this, I like to hold them with pliers. Just little needle nose pliers. And then I like to use a pair of a very specific kind of channel lock plier. Irwin makes these. They're called vice grips. I don't know if that's the brand name or what, but what they are is they have a little ratchet button or adjustment button so that you can really dial these in to a certain length. I wrap the jaws in electrical tape, and they work very well for starting and even pressing all the way through roll pins. They tend to have a lot more adjustment room than regular channel locks. In general, you can or you could get these at Lowe's. Last time I was there, I saw them on clearance, which is not something that makes me very happy because I really like being able to get these. There you go. Easiest way to set a pin that goes through than any other tool I've ever used. These are awesome. So now we've got that, it's blued. Now we can go ahead and oil it after everything dries. I'll get that later. And we don't have a front sight. Fortunately, I bought a bunch of A2 front sights on clearance a couple years ago for about 50 cents each. So I got a box of 20 of them. That was how I got my 50 cents. I did, however, never find an actual deal on the detent springs and the detent pins. So I just ordered them from, well, Brownell's, because Brownell's has everything, and they usually have a free shipping code for $49 orders. So it's worth just setting up a cart and eventually getting through it. If you have a login and an account, your cart will save automatically forever. So whenever you log in, anything you've got on your shopping list will be there. So you'll get up to $50 easy. I almost forgot, I really like to grease some of these springs that just aren't ever coming back out again. And I use a Molly bearing grease. It's just grease. So, pin is in. You're going to pretty rapidly find that you need a front side tool. And it's done. A little bit of a screwdriver to help hold the pin down makes it easier to quickly rotate. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Front side is installed if you've never done that before. Now we have the upper and the lower together. Might as well put them together. Remember, we're using the Foxtrot mic Colt, which supposedly works with Colt magazines, but we don't know yet. Hammer drops. Safety on, safety off. Looks good so far. We have some worn out aluminum dummy rounds for the magazine. This is a 25 round Israeli surplus magazine. I've got a couple videos on how to convert these for Colt AR style. You have to mill this slot, take this down a little bit, and take this down a little bit. These do not have bolt hold open tabs welded into them. Style of Colt mag block doesn't even have a bolt hold open to begin with. It loads. It ejects. There's nothing that way for about 400 miles. Not a fault of the gun. The rim on this one is just screwed. I like it. It's all done. Next step is to lube it up and take it to the range and do a function check with live ammunition. We'll see you there.